very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Bringing you the news, I'm Jed Abdin.
And I'm Umitra Bekon. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
12 sentenced to death in Amarakeerthi murder case. Court frees 23 others due to lack of evidence. Former Presidential Secretary Saman Ekanayaka remanded again. CID instructed to probe alleged misuse of state funds involving Ranil Wickramasinghe's wife and private secretary. 10, including Venerable Balangoda Kassapathera, granted bail in Trincomalee land dispute. 2026 will be the year that reinforces the rule of law, says President in Nuwara.
හැම කෙනාම නීතියට යටත් වී යුතුයි. නීතිය පිළිබඳ බියක් ඇති වී හැබැයි අපේ රටේ එහෙම නෑ. ඒ නිසා මම ඔබට සහතිකයක් දෙන්නම්. මේ 2026 වසර නීතිය ඉදිරියේ සැවම සමානයි කියන වාක්‍යයට පණ දෙන වසර බවට මේ 26 වසර පත් කරනවා.
Government warns trade unions preparing for strikes. Perth Saint Fishermen's Union withdraws court case.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, 12 defendants found guilty of murdering late parliamentarian Amarakeerthi Athukorala and his security officer were sentenced to death by the Gampaha High Court trial at bar. The bench also ordered that 23 other accused be acquitted and released.
The incident occurred on the 9th of May 2022, the day the peaceful people's protest or the Aragalia was underway at Galface, when former Polonnaruwa district MP Athukorala and his security officer Jayantha Gunawardena were assaulted in Nitambua, resulting in their deaths. In connection with the murders, the Attorney General had filed indictments against 41 defendants before the Gampaha High Court. After a lengthy trial spanning more than 2 years, the trial at bar announced that the verdict would be delivered today, the 11th of February. The case was heard before the three-judge bench comprising High Court judges Sahan Mapa Bandara, Rashmi Singapuli and Rasantha Godavala. Delivering the minority verdict, presiding judge Sahan Mapa Bandara stated that all accused should be acquitted, noting that the prosecution had failed to prove the charges beyond reasonable doubt. However, delivering the majority verdict, Justices Rashmi Singapuli and Rasantha Godavala ruled that 16 defendants were guilty while 25 were not guilty. The bench ruled that the charges against the 25 acquitted defendants had not been proven beyond reasonable doubt and ordered their release. Of the 16 convicted, 4 were found guilty only of participating in an unlawful assembly. They were sentenced to 6 months rigorous imprisonment, suspended for 5 years. Each of them was also fined 10,000 rupees. Furthermore, the court ordered that those 4 convicted individuals pay 50,000 rupees each in compensation to the widows of former MP Athukorala and his security officer. They were ordered to pay the fine by the end of day today, and failure to pay will result in an additional 12 months imprisonment. The court ordered that 23 other defendants in the case be acquitted and released. The judges concluded that the prosecution had failed to prove the remaining charges beyond reasonable doubt, and therefore all 23 accused were cleared of all allegations. The court also ordered that the 12 defendants sentenced to death be hanged by the neck until death at the Valikada prison on a date and time to be determined by the President.
Bail was granted to 10 suspects, including Venerable Balangoda Kassapathera, who are in remand custody on charges of violating the coast conservation laws and carrying out unauthorized construction in Trincomalee. Bail was granted when the bail application for the group of suspects was considered before the Trincomalee High Court today. The issue leading to their arrest commenced when a group of people from Colombo had travelled to Trincomalee to protest an order given by officers of the Coast Conservation Department to remove a construction housing a restaurant that had been built on a piece of coastal land in Trincomalee. At this time, a group of people, including Venerable Balangura Kassapatero, had tried to place a Buddha statue at the site. When a senior superintendent of police tried to intervene, a tension situation had arisen. The group claimed that the piece of land in question had been gifted to the Sri Sambuddhatva Jayanti Bodhiraja Viharaya during the time when Mahinda Rajapaksa was the president of Sri Lanka. While investigations into the matter were ongoing, 10 suspects were arrested and produced before courts. Venerable Balangura Kassapatero, who is said to have led and organised the protest, Venerable Trincomalee Kalyanavansha Thera, the chief incumbent of the Trincomalee Sri Sambuddhatva Jayanti Bodhiraja Viharaya, Venerable Trincomalee Sukitivansa Thera and Venerable Trincomalee Nanda Thera were among those arrested. In addition, UNP Trincomalee organiser Deepani Liyanage, said to have mediated in operating the restaurant on rent, along with Viduranga Lukugalapatti, LT Pereira, PL Premasiri, Dulara Gunatilaka, Sudeep Liyanage and Sugat Prasanna were also named as suspects in the case. Last Monday, when the group was produced before the Trincomalee High Court, the State Counsel, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, had requested that a period of 2 days be granted in order to file objections against the bail applications. The High Court then granted the request of the State Counsel and adjourned the consideration of the bail applications until today, asking them to submit any preliminary objections to the bail applications. When the case was heard today, the court ordered that the bail be granted to each suspect on a cash bail of 10,000 rupees and 2 personal sureties of 1 million rupees.
All the suspects were released on bail today. During that bail hearing, it was decided to release them on a cash bail of 10,000 rupees and 2 personal sureties of 1 million rupees each. In addition, they were ordered to appear in court at future proceedings.
The case is scheduled to be heard again on the 17th of June 2026.
Additional Solicitor General Dilip Piris informed the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court that the Criminal Investigation Department has been instructed to investigate whether Professor Maitri Wickramasinghe, the wife of former President Ranil Wickramasinghe, and his private secretary Sandra Pereira had misappropriated state funds during a controversial foreign visit undertaken by the former president. This was revealed when the relevant case was taken up before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court today. Now, in this case filed under the Public Property Act against former President Ranil Wickramasinghe, Saman Ekanayake, who has been named as the second suspect, was further remanded until the 18th.
During the hearing of the case filed against former President Ranil Wickramasinghe and former Presidential Secretary Saman Ekanayake of allegations of misappropriating 16.6 million rupees of state funds to undertake a tour in the United Kingdom, former Presidential Secretary Saman Ekanayake, who is currently in remand custody, was produced before the court by prison officials. Additional Solicitor General Dilip Piris, presenting an updated progress report of the investigation to the court, informed that a statement recorded from the second suspect while in prison had been submitted to the court. Excerpt.
My lord, I am not saying that the second suspect is a corrupt person. However, he has acted like an experienced criminal. In the final statement recorded by the investigators, he has clearly stated his position. He said that the first suspect, Ranil Wickramasinghe, travelled to London merely on transit and that he had no awareness of former President Wickramasinghe attending any event at the University of Wolverhampton or a graduation ceremony of his wife.
End of excerpt. The Additional Solicitor General further informed the court that, according to the previous court order issued on the 4th of February, a questionnaire regarding the said graduation ceremony had been sent to the University of Wolverhampton via fax and registered mail. Excerpt.
My lord, as per the previous court order, we sent a questionnaire containing 9 questions to the University of Wolverhampton seeking clarification regarding the graduation ceremony. We have not yet received a response. These 9 questions were structured in a way that would help identify the information necessary for the progress of the investigation.
End of excerpt. At that point, the magistrate inquired from the Additional Solicitor General whether any further orders related to the investigation were being sought. Responding, the Additional Solicitor General stated that the letter by the second suspect, dated for the 1st of September 2023, related to the questionable foreign tour, should be referred to the Government Examiner of questioned documents for handwriting analysis. After considering the facts, the magistrate granted approval for the request. Thereafter, President's Counsel Kalinga Indathissa appearing for the second suspect, Saman Ekanayake, made a bail application on behalf of his client. Excerpt.
My lord, my client has not gone to the University of Wolverhampton. He has not travelled to London. This questionable flight has no relevance to my client. He is a public sector officer with 39 years of public service. He has already clearly stated his position. He only knew that the first suspect was travelling to London on transit. He was first informed about this foreign tour through an email received on the 7th September 2023. This email was sent by the former High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to the United Kingdom, Sirasa, to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The ministry thereafter forwarded it to the Presidential Secretariat. It is only after this that my client became aware of the tour.
End of excerpt. The President's counsel stated that his client had only approved the allocation of these funds and that he had not obtained any improper benefit or advantage from the process. Excerpt.
My lord, according to the expenditure breakdown prepared by the Sri Lankan High Commission in the UK under the signature of the Sri Lankan High Commissioner Sirasa, my client approved the relevant funds. My lord, he had no authority to reject it, question it, or make a decision regarding it. His role was only to provide the necessary financial provisions based on the letter. If there was any issue regarding these financial allocations, it should have been rejected by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, not by my client. He is not in a position to do that. Therefore, accusations cannot be levelled against my client regarding the allocation of these financial provisions. Considering these special circumstances, I respectfully request that suitable bail conditions be granted to my client.
End of excerpt. Additional Solicitor General Dilip Peris raised objections to the bail application. Excerpt.
My lord, the second suspect has stated that he only knew the first suspect was travelling to London for a transit. If that is the case, he had the ability to question the first suspect about the approval of 16.6 million rupees in state funds for a 36-hour trip. This approval was granted at a time when the country had officially declared bankruptcy. My lord, the first letter regarding this trip was received by him on the 1st September 2023. Now he is trying to shift all the responsibility onto Sirasa. My lord, I have already instructed the Criminal Investigation Department to investigate whether Ranil Wickremesinghe, his wife, and his personal private secretary Sandra Pereira misused state funds by also joining this trip. After the second suspect was remanded on the previous date, he was seen on the prison bus joining hands and saying Jayaveva to the media. He appeared to be delighted. How can a suspect in remand custody behave in such a manner? The first suspect and another individual have already visited him. There is a possible risk of influencing witnesses, my lord. Therefore, bail should not be granted. I strongly oppose granting bail to this suspect.
End of excerpt. After considering the submissions, Colombo Fort Magistrate Isurunetti Kumara stated that when a suspect is remanded, their freedom becomes restricted, and therefore a suspect's behaviour under such circumstances must also be taken into account. The magistrate noted that otherwise the court would be compelled to make a determination based on such conduct. The magistrate further stated that the arguments presented by both parties regarding the bail application must be carefully evaluated. Accordingly, he fixed 18th of February for delivering the bail order in relation to the second suspect. President Kumara Dissanayake emphasized that the year 2026 will be a year that reaffirms the principle that everyone is equal before the law. The President made these remarks while addressing the Central Province Programme of the National Initiative, A Nation United, conducted in Nuwara to eradicate the drug menace. The Central Province Programme of the National Operation A Nation United, aimed at eradicating the drug menace, was held this afternoon in Nuwara under the patronage of President Kumara Dissanayake. On his way to Nuwara this morning, the President also made it a point to meet with the estate worker community. Addressing the program, the President emphasized that the government is committed to establishing the rule of law across the country.
ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් අපේ රටේ නීතියේ විධානයේ ආධිපත්‍ය තහවුරු කරන්න ඕන. අයුක්තියට අපි යුක්තිය ලබා දෙන්න අපේ අධිකරණ නීතිය සහ විධානයේ ආධිපත්‍ය තහවුරු කළ යුතුයි.
First and foremost, we must firmly establish the rule of law in our country. To deliver justice in the face of injustice, Our judiciary and law enforcement system must be strengthened. This is essential for the journey of rebuilding our nation. We know that the public has developed doubts about the rule of law. But if we are to build a country, we must breathe life into the principle that everyone is equal before the law. We must restore the people's trust that justice will be served without discrimination based on wealth or power. Some groups in our country believed the law could never touch them, that they were surrounded by a shield of influence protecting them. No country can progress with such beliefs. Everyone must be subject to the law and fear the law. But in our country, it is different. I assure you, the year 2026 will be the year in which we give true meaning to the statement, all are equal before the law. Everyone must fall under the law. That is the kind of country we need. No nation has ever developed where the rule of law is broken. When the law collapses, criminals rise. That is the truth. Therefore, I call upon the Minister of Public Security, the Secretary, the IGP, the entire police force and our tri-forces. Let us unite and dismantle crime and transform Sri Lanka into a state where the rule of law prevails. You have heard the stories of black states. What is the foundation of those nations? The breakdown of law. Criminals thrive where the law is weak. That is why we are building a nation governed by the rule of law.
The drug crisis has been identified as a major social issue affecting the Malayalam community, and today's program aimed to uplift them socially and economically through a broad awareness initiative conducted with the participation of all stakeholders.
Today, drugs have spread from villages to entire regions. What must we do? We must create a country where not a single child becomes a victim of this menace. Recently, there were multiple shootings across the country. What lies behind these shootings? A turf war over the drug market. It is tied to illegal firearm networks and massive illicit wealth. What do they do with that money? They infiltrate the state system. Weak public officials fall prey to these funds. Millions are spent to obtain fake passports, fake vehicle registrations, and to escape the law. Eventually, this money corrupts and breaks state institutions. And it doesn't stop there. These people then enter politics. Some local government chairmen have already become involved in crime. Reports show that some individuals are even using drug money to form political parties and compete for political power. This network has penetrated local authorities, provincial councils and reached parliament. Some politicians have protected drug traffickers. What happens next? The drug trafficker himself becomes the politician. Many local councillors have been arrested and others used money to get elected. This danger has spread nationally into villages, homes and families. So, what must we do? Look away? Do nothing? No one has a moral right to remain silent. We all must intervene to defeat this. I assure you, about myself and about my government, we stand united in an unwavering decision. We will defeat this menace. Our prison officers have been threatened. You may have seen an incident where a criminal brought to court shouted, "I am now a free man." He said this because he believed the court would remand him, meaning he considers prison a place of freedom. Why? Because prisons have been compromised for years. During inspections of major prisons, we repeatedly found mobile phones and prohibited items. But we have a plan to break this system. We respect democracy and human rights. But above all, we are responsible for the safety of our people. And we are ready to act. We know how this drug network grew, backed by political power and protected by political leaders. That is the truth. But understand this. We are the only government that has removed all political protection for criminals. We have given complete freedom to the police and tri-forces to act. It is not criminals who will save us. It is not drug traffickers who will save us. You must uphold the dignity of your profession, the responsibility of your position, and the duty entrusted to you. and we will give you the freedom and protection you need to carry out that duty.
ඉටුකිරීම සඳහා මැදිහත් වෙන්න ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය නිදහස ආරක්ෂාව අපි දෙන්න.
During the event, 62 police officers who played an active role in drug-related raids were also recognized for their service.
56,345 R. Ravichandran Niladhariya, Police Constable, 77.
The Purse Sign or Mardal Fishermen's Association says they have taken necessary measures to withdraw the case filed in the Court of Appeal. The Ministry of Fisheries had previously announced that further action would be taken regarding the use of illegal nets in accordance with the verdict in this case, which is scheduled to be heard on the 27th February.
The Satyagraha initiated by the Persian Fishermen's Association in front of the Presidential Secretariat continued for its 7th day today. Fishermen from several areas began this Satyagraha on the 5th of February. Yesterday, the association announced the condition in order for them to end the Satyagraha. The condition given was that they would end their protest if it was proven that using tractors with winches for fishing activities are harmful to the environment.
We have been operating these tractors with winches for the past 15 years. If there is a new technology, please introduce it to us. If there is a legal framework at play, please educate us on the matter. Don't make us lose our jobs. I request the President to find a reasonable solution for this issue. We had a legal case filed. We got that removed as well.
Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of Traffic and Road Safety, WPJ Senadira, stated vehicle owners cannot evade responsibility if their drivers or employees use narcotics while operating a vehicle. The DIG pointed out that authorities have taken steps to further intensify drug testing within the transport sector.
As of yesterday, 1,781 cases had been lodged with regard to poisonous drugs in Sri Lanka. In the recent past, we have received many complaints that many bus drivers and conductors are operating buses while being under the influence of drugs. This is especially high on the Colombo-Moratuwa route. We have also received complaints about bus drivers and conductors operating on the Colombo-Panadura, Colombo-Kottawa and many other interprovincial routes. As this problem is now becoming chronic, we have taken measures to strengthen drug testing of bus employees. As of today, 27,694 cases have been filed against drunk drivers. The issue of responsibility and accountability definitely lies on the shoulders of the vehicle owners. That is why the owners cannot say that we do not know this, because they are playing games with the lives of innocent people. That is why, if you give your vehicle to be driven, do not be greedy for profits alone. You must definitely be accountable as well. We need to save the lives of people on the road. That is the responsibility of the police.
On the 9th of February, the chairman of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association, Gamanu Vijayaratna, expressed his opposition to the investigations into whether passenger bus employees are using drugs.
පැහැදිලිව කියන්න ඕන බස් හිමිකරුවන්ව එහෙම හදන්නේ අමාත්‍යවරයා ලංකාවේම මේ බස් හිමිකරුවන්ව නැති බංගස්ථාන කරලා විශේෂයෙන්ම ඒගොල්ලෝ ආණ්ඩුවන් නැති කරගන්න මොකද දන්නවද අපි දවස් දෙක තුනක් ස්ට්‍රයික් කරොත් එහෙම කොහොමද බලමුකෝ ආණ්ඩුවට මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒ නිසා කරුණාකරලා බස් හිමිකරුවන් මේ නිදන් ඉන්න කොටි අවශ්‍ය ගන්න එපා කියලා අපි අමුතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
Is the government ready for a bus strike? This was the answer provided by the cabinet spokesperson at the media briefing held to announce government decisions yesterday.
If a bus driver under the influence of drugs meets with an accident, the victim will be another innocent mother, father or child of this nation. The government has a responsibility to find a solution to this menace. The government will not shy away from enforcing the law against those who violate them. Trade unions do not need to intervene in these matters. This is because the responsibility of trade unions should be not to defend only their employees, but they also have a responsibility to safeguard all Sri Lankans. They need to understand this.
News First with the people.
The sacred Sarwakya relics, which were venerated by thousands of Buddhist devotees at the Hunupitiya Ganga Ramin temple in Colombo, were taken back to India today. The relics were brought to Sri Lanka following a special request made by President Amarakeerthi to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
The Sarvagnya relics, discovered some time ago at the Devanimori sacred site in Gujarat, were brought outside India for the first time on this occasion. The relics were brought to Sri Lanka on the 4th of February, and under the guidance of Dr. Venerable Kirinde Assaji Thera, the chief incumbent of the Hunupitiya Ganga Ramya temple, public veneration was held for 7 days. A special Indian delegation, including Madhya Pradesh Governor Mangubhai Patel and Arunachal Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister Chauna Main, arrived at Ganga Ramya Temple today to escort the relics back to India. Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, also visited the temple this morning to participate in the special religious ceremony held for the departure of the relics.
අමතක නොවන නැවත නැවත සිහිපත් කරලා සතුටු විය හැකි පුණ්‍ය කර්මයට දායක වුණා. මේ උතුම් පින්කමට නන් අයුරින් සහයෝගය දුන්නු ශ්‍රී ලංකා වාසී සියලු දෙනාටමත් ඉන්දියානු රජයටත් අපි අපේ පුණ්‍යානුමෝදනාව මේ වෙලාවේ පුද කරන්න සතුටුයි.
A souvenir was presented to the Indian delegation, after which the sacred relics were taken in a motorcade to the airport. The Sarvagnya relics were flown back to India aboard a special aircraft.
Today marks the 39th day of the second phase of the LOSC Divisavia Obai Mamai Aperatai Social Responsibility Programme. This initiative, which aims to reconstruct 200 schools damaged by disasters, was held today centered across the Kegal, Nuwara, Kandy and Badulla districts.
The reconstructed facilities at the Ohiya Tamil Vidyalaya in Badulla and the Valapane Sri Swarnadeepa Primary School were handed over to the students this morning. The renovated buildings at the Atnavala Vidyalaya in Kegal, Alutnuwara Primary School and Battevela Primary School were vested in the students. The reconstructed facilities at the Ambatwala Primary School in Kandy was handed over to students. The damaged facilities at the Nuwara Palagola Vidyalaya were also reconstructed.
Senior economic advisor to the President Duminda Hulangamu declared that Sri Lanka has entered a new era of good governance, transparency and integrity, signalling that the island nation is officially open for business. He made this statement while addressing the Sri Lanka Impact Summit 2026.
Lanka Impact Investment Summit 2026 centers on the theme Catalyzing Capital for a Just and Inclusive Economy. The two-day event, hosted by the Lanka Impact Investing Network in partnership with Global Steering Group for Impact Investing Sri Lanka, took place in Colombo. Speaking at the event, resident representative of UNDP in Sri Lanka, Azusa Kubota, expressed her views on enterprise readiness.
If you think of enterprise readiness as a building, it stands on 4 pillars, or maybe more. Governance, the clarity and accountability that give investors confidence. And financial discipline, visibility into unit economics and cash flow. Therefore, financial literacy, very important. Data and reporting, not anecdotes, but decision-grade information. And lastly, standards and compliance, consistent, comparable norms. So this is not glamorous work, but this is transformative. If it is the foundation on which trust can be built. And trust is what unlocks capital. I often say that enterprise support in many countries, not just in Sri Lanka, resembles a patchwork of quilt. Beautiful pieces stitched at different times, but never forming one coherent system. The economic crisis and Cyclone Ditwa together have exposed something very, very important. Access to finance without readiness can actually deepen vulnerability. An enterprise that takes on debt without financial discipline risks collapse. One that receives capital without governance discipline risks mismanaging it. One that receives grants without market linkages risks stagnation. This is why end-to-end systems matter.
Speaking on day one of the event yesterday, Senior Economic Advisor to the President of Sri Lanka, Duminda Hulangamur, stated that Sri Lanka is officially open for business.
As all of you know, the biggest transformation the government led by His Excellency the President has brought in Sri Lanka is good governance, transparency and integrity. Any foreign investment come in Sri Lanka, as much as local investments, the first thing what they want is respect for rule of law, equal level playing field for every business, where businesses are evaluated on credentials and the ability to perform. And I'm sure most people here will agree with me that this government, led by the President, has brought a remarkable change, building trust and confidence in government. That is paramount for any investment come in this country. And we feel the difference of that management style that is brought, looking at the investments that are coming to Sri Lanka, looking at the inquiries we are receiving and the transformation we are making. As the economy, all of you know that the macro fundamentals of an economy are very stable and well placed. Fiscal consolidation effort that we started as a country 2-3 years ago have now borne results. There's a lot of noise outside to say that in 2028 that we will not be able to pay the rates. But mind you, 2028 also we pay around $3 billion in foreign debt financing, and that will be the amount that we pay right through up to 2036. So we are well within our space to honor the foreign commitments and foreign debt, which we did last year, in spite of $2 billion going out for import of motor vehicles. So Sri Lanka is open for business. It has a stable economy. It has laws that will protect investment, safeguard their rights.
The summit provided a platform for investors, policymakers, and social innovators to align capital with impact and shape a more inclusive and sustainable future for South Asia and the Indian Ocean region.
Sri Lanka has reaffirmed its appreciation for China's long-standing partnership and support. Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijitha Herath noted Beijing's role as a valued and trusted friend during pivotal moments in the island's history and its ongoing development journey.
China has been a valued and trusted friend to Sri Lanka, extending support during critical moments of our history and contributing significantly to our development efforts. Sri Lanka is grateful for the steadfast support extended by the People's Republic of China to Sri Lanka, including during the recent weather conditions that affected the entire country, as well as continued cooperation for development, trade, investment, tourism, education, and technological sectors. As Sri Lanka moves forward on its path of economic growth and sustainable development, we look forward to further strengthening our ties with China in a manner that is mutually beneficial, transparent, and aligned with the aspirations of both our peoples. The growing interest in language education, tourism, and cultural cooperation between Sri Lanka and China is a testament to the deepening ties and understanding between our societies.
The minister was speaking at the Chinese New Year reception held at Shangri-La Hotel in Colombo. The event was organized by the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Sri Lanka, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Vijitha Herath, participating as the chief guest. A distinguished gathering including former presidents, members of parliament, diplomats, Triforces commanders, embassy officials and other special invitees were present at the event.
Educational assistance and humanitarian support were extended to school children and low-income families in Kaduvela today through a donation from China.
School books and learning material donated by the People's Republic of China, along with the dry ration packs for 200 low-income families, were distributed today to students at the Koretota Sri Somananda Mahavidyalaya in Kaduvela. The donation took place under the patronage of Chinese Ambassador of Sri Lanka, Chi Seng Hong.
China and Sri Lanka are good friends. We care about each other. Education is very important because it helps children build their future. No matter how difficult life is, children should always have a chance to learn. China has always supported education development in Sri Lanka. Today, we bring school bags, notebooks, and pencils for students with a total value of 1.6 million rupees. We also prepared a food package for some families who need support. The Sri Lanka say, a true friend holds the umbrella for you in the rain. In the past, Sri Lanka supported China. Today, we are happy to support you as friends. China will continue to work together with Sri Lanka and strengthen our friendship. Long live China-Sri Lanka friendship.
Principal of Koretore Sri Somananda Mahavidyalaya in Kaduvela, representatives from the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Sri Lanka, parents and students attended the event. The initiative aimed to support education and ease the burden on underprivileged families, while further strengthening the friendship between Sri Lanka and China.
Sri Lanka's Independence Day was celebrated with much grandeur in South Africa, bringing together diplomats, officials and the Sri Lankan community after 5 years. The High Commissioner, retired Air Chief Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa, emphasized that Sri Lanka and South Africa are bound not only by principles but by parallel journeys through adversity, reform and national transformation.
78th Independence Day of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka was marked in South Africa with a special ceremony held recently at the Sri Lanka House in South Africa. This marks the first such celebration in the past 5 years. The event, organized mainly by the Sri Lanka House under the guidance of the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to South Africa, retired Air Chief Marshal Udeni Rajapaksa, together with the strong support of the Sri Lankan community in South Africa.
Our never-ending pursuit for freedom, equality and unity in diversity founded on the ideals of democracy have propelled both our nations to embody the rules-based world order. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, while Sri Lanka and South Africa share common principles, we also have crossed similar boundaries and have overcome similar challenges to reach who we are today. We fought for our freedom of all, not for a few. We endeavored the aspirations of a nation, not of a few. We are proud today as Sri Lankans. We saw the change in the role of military by going beyond the concept of mere defeating the enemy. We demonstrated the world through the humanitarian operations that terrorism not only be defeated but sustainable peace can be achieved by persuading the distressed by empowering and reintegrating them to create more inclusive community. With such a heart, Sri Lankans have proved over and over again their resilience through economic resistance, epoch of political uncertainties and social stigmas. We again evidenced our unbreakable bond and sense of community 2 months before in facing Cyclone Ditwa, which once again solidified the Sri Lankan spirit.
Over 170 participants attended the event, including diplomats, Sri Lankans living in South Africa and other accredited countries, along with senior officials from South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation. Guests were treated to authentic Sri Lankan cuisine, offering a true taste of the island's rich food heritage. The celebration also served as a platform to promote Sri Lanka's cultural heritage, with several stalls showcasing pure Ceylon tea and promoting Sri Lanka tourism to an international audience.
The National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka held its 67th annual general meeting in Colombo yesterday.
The 67th Annual General Meeting of the National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka was held in Colombo yesterday. The event was attended by the Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Sri Lanka, Semi Lutfo Turgut, as the chief guest, while Chairman and the Chief Executive Officer of Sri Lanka Export Development Board, Mangala Vijay Singha, attended the event as the guest of honour.
History teaches us that some of the most inspiring stories come from countries that punch above their weight by focusing on sectors where they hold a comparative advantage. Innovation is the multiplier. It allows small nations to amplify their strengths. Sri Lanka, with its strategic location in the Indian Ocean, its rich cultural heritage, and its dynamic entrepreneurial spirit, is well placed to chart its own path of punching above its weight. Ladies and gentlemen, commerce is not a boxing ring. But if it were, small countries have shown they can land powerful punches. And unlike boxing, in trade, we all win when we play to our strength. Turkey is a testament that success comes not only from geography, but also from determination, creativity, and partnerships. I look forward to seeing Sri Lanka continue to rise in sectors where it shines brightest, while deepening the enduring partnership between our two nations in this journey ahead.
For the first time in our history, our export earning shattered expectations, reaching 17.3 billion, including merchandising export 13.5 billion, and the service sector reached 3.7 billion, and we can see nearly 6% growth in 2025. This is not a mere statistic to be read in a report. It is a living testament to the sweat, the high-tech evolutions, and the unwavering grit of every individual in this room. Our journey throughout 2025 has been defined by a fundamental shift in our economy. We have witnessed a historic transitions where we are no longer connected with being a supplier of raw material, but are rapidly becoming a global powerhouse of value addition excellence. We are proving to the world that we are a premier destination for the high-end talent from AI-enabled services, cybersecurity, and fintech solutions. This transmission is crucial as we shed a traditional goods only label and embrace a future where our exports are driven by minds of youth and strategic vision of entrepreneurs. Our government export diversification strategy is de-risking the economy by expanding both products and market reach to the National Export Development Plan. So National Export Development Plan is a strategic initiative to strengthen Sri Lanka's export competitiveness and drive sustainable economic growth. So based on that, we are expecting 3 objectives of National Export Development Plan: enhancing our trade competitiveness, expanding global and regional market linkage, and promoting sustainable economic growth. Building upon our National Export Strategy, which was implemented 2018 and 2022, the new plan incorporates lessons learned from the previous implementation while addressing the evolving global, regional and domestic trade dynamics. So we are prioritized. So with the National Export Development Plan, we are focusing about the product diversification and the market diversification.
The event was also attended by leading business representatives, stakeholders and industry experts from across Sri Lanka.
Up next is the corporate brief.
The Pyramid Wilma Sales Convention 2025, a convention held in order to recognize the performance of the sales team of Pyramid Wilma Private Limited and Pyramid Wilma Oils and Eats Private Limited, was held in Colombo yesterday.
Amongst the many present in the room,
sales representative.
The awards were presented under the categories of Best Area Sales Executive, Best Area Sales Manager, Midoli Top Achievers and Fortune Soy Top Achievers. The ceremony took place with the participation of nearly 250 guests from the sales force and top management of the company.
A band of Buddhist monks who have spent 4 months walking, sometimes barefoot or through the snow on a 2,000-mile march from Texas to Washington, D.C., completed their journey.
The group's oddest so-called Walk of Peace has gone viral, capturing the attention of millions of Americans at a time of heightened political division in the United States. After arriving in the US Capitol, the monks visited the Washington National Cathedral, where they attended an interfaith service.
I have served as Dean of this cathedral for almost 10 years. And this is one of the most beautiful sights I have ever seen in this space. Thank you for honoring us by being here.
I think it's a very extremely important question because in my opinion, in the situation that we are facing in this country and around the world, inner peace is certainly an essential requirement, but we also need justice. Because what we see taking place in this country right now, I have to tell you, I'm 81 years old. I grew up during the period of the 1960s when we had the civil rights movement, 1964-65, voting rights, civil rights. Wow, the country is opening up, losing its heritage of racism and discrimination. The anti-war movement against the war in Vietnam, we're coming to an era of peace. Then early 1970s, the feminist movement, women's rights are coming to the front of our social consciousness. And now what are we facing? I have to say, sadly, it's almost a reign of terror, where people are being terrified. School children afraid to go to school from fear that they're going to be grabbed off the streets and sent to a prison or detention camp.
Our future generation will have a big problem. So in order for us to change our future generation, we have to start become a role model for our kids from now.
Later in the week, they will make stops at the Abraham Lincoln Memorial and the Peace Monument, which stands on the US Capitol grounds.
For the first time since 2019, the world-class triathlon Ironman 70.3 will be held in Colombo later this month.
Ironman 70.3 will return to the shores of Colombo on the 22nd of February after a 6-year hiatus. Prior to the main event on the 22nd, a series of events will take place from the 19th of February under the #ActiveColombo initiative. The showpiece event is expected to welcome over 1,000 athletes from more than 49 countries, international media and other event partners, putting Colombo and Sri Lanka into the spotlight once more. A press briefing to create awareness on Ironman 70.3 and other arrangements centering it was held in Colombo today.
Now everybody sees it. We've done a lot to take Sri Lanka to the world, but taking us to the active sports world and putting that map and Colombo back again is to say Colombo is ready, Colombo is here. 50 countries, 150 events. You search in the global map, the city is right there now. You got to build global linkages. You got to be strategic. You got to put your time and money and effort and resources where you win. Spraying and praying and hoping things happen, you know it hasn't worked, it won't work. You are supporting inclusive growth. You're supporting from every four corners of the country getting collected to the hub that we are building. What we will build is a week of active lifestyle in Colombo. We have few weeks in Colombo. We have a fashion week for Colombo. This will be the active week. As you can see, our people fly down from 12th to the 19th. Then we have expo in this exact place you are in on both sides. Where Colombo will showcase the soul, the spirit of what Colombo has to offer. Ironman is one event. Ironman is a catalyst. But Colombo will become a hub for global world-class events. We are back Colombo is back, and thank you so much for being part of this amazing journey.
The launch of Ironman 70.3 Colombo is not simply the announcement of a sporting event, but rather a declaration for us, as we see it, of where our city is heading. After 6 years, we are proud to welcome back Ironman Global Series to Sri Lanka. On behalf of the Colombo Municipal Council, I extend our appreciation to Ironman management for once again deciding to do this event in our city. I think for the CMC, it's very important. We have a city that is unlike any other. So as the institution that manages the infrastructure for the city, I think we need to do our part to prepare for tourism. So what does that mean? We need more mobility. We need more pedestrianization. We have a city that is by any means one of the most incredibly beautiful. Ironman 70.3 will showcase our coastline, will showcase our hospitality and our public spaces to a global audience. And it will, as has been mentioned before, will stimulate hotels, restaurants, transport providers, and very importantly, small businesses. Right? The fact that this will go back to small businesses is equally important to us.
Yes 101 and Sirasa TV are the media sponsors of this global spectacle.
The Sri Lanka-Oman match of the 2026 ICC Men's T20 World Cup will be played tomorrow. This will be Sri Lanka's second match of the tournament, and it is scheduled to take place at the Lanka-China International Cricket Stadium.
The Group B preliminary round match is set to begin at 11 am. Due to an injury sustained by Vanidu Hasaranga, Dushan Hemantha has been added to Sri Lanka's squad.
Vanidu's absence is a big loss for the team. Dushan Hemantha, however, brings a different bowling style, and he can also contribute as an all-rounder. Oman, like many associate teams, has performed really well in this World Cup, so it will be a challenge for any side. Of course, we hope to win and also improve our net run rate. We usually play night games in T20s, but this is a day match. There might be a bit of early help for fast bowlers, though conditions should get easier for batting as the day progresses.
South Africa defeated Afghanistan in super overs after their match in the 2026 ICC Men's T20 World Cup ended in a tie. In a match played in Ahmedabad, South Africa batted first and scored 187 runs for the loss of 6 wickets, with Afghanistan also finishing on 187. The first super over ended in a tie with both teams scoring 17 runs. A second super over was then played, where South Africa scored 23, while Afghanistan managed 19, giving South Africa the win. This marks the first time in T20 World Cup history where a match required 2 super overs to determine the winner.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.